सत्संगत्वे निस्संगत्वं निस्संगत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे।
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। नारायणः परो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्तिमे लोका सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी। श्री भगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमित्यभिधीयते एतद्यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः। So in this 13th chapter, the concept of Adhyaropa Apavada has been employed to teach the nature of Brahman, which is devoid of all qualities. So the Adhyaropa part we have seen in the last class. The Apavada part is being stated now in this 14th shloka. In the 13th shloka, where the Adhyaropa part was stated, it was shown that Brahman is the one which is appearing as the one endowed with all organs, that is sense organs, motor organs, etc. But then that is not the ultimately true position. So that is the Adhyaropa only. That is only the deliberate superimposition by the Vedanta Shastram. Now the Apavada part, that is by negating or denying all those organs that were superimposed on Brahman, Brahman has to be shown to be something which is bereft of that and completely devoid of all those attributes. So here, Upadhi Bhuta Panipadadi Indriya Adhyaropanate Gneyasya Tadvatashanka Mabhut Ityevamartaha Shlokarambha. To say, to give the, to present the true position of Brahman, that it is devoid of all these organs, and so that if this is not done, the seeker might come to the conclusion that okay, Brahman is something which is endowed with all these organs in the absolute sense. So that is not the true position at all. So that has to be warded off. So for that, the deliberate Apavada is being shown here, that is negating of those attributes that were deliberately superimposed. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asatyam Sarvabhruchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktricha. Brahman is free from all these gunas which are there for the organs. The organs gunas are not Brahman's gunas. Then Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. And then the Indriyas themselves are not there for Brahman. Asaktam Sarvabhruchaiva. It is completely non-attached with anything because it doesn't have anything other than itself. So there is the second to Brahman, there is nothing. So there is no question of it's getting attached to something. Sarvabhruchaiva. It is the one which is the substratum of the whole of the creation. So that way it is bearing everything. Then Nirgunam. It is free of all three gunas of Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And Guna Bhoktricha. While it is free of these gunas, still it is the one which is ultimately the one which is experiences all these gunas in creation. That is, when the jivas are said to be experiencing all the gunas, it is a Brahman which is the one which is ultimately experiencing this, in the sense that it is Brahman alone which is appearing as jivas and also the objects. So Brahman is the one which is appearing as the whole of the creation, which includes Bhokta and Bhogya Prapancha. So Brahman is the one which is ultimately appearing as experiencing the objects also. So here, so many Vedantic points are there, and Bhagavad Pada brings them out so very well here. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvani Cha Tani Indriyani Shrotradini Buddhindriya Karmendriyakhyani. That is, all the Indriyas are only, Indriyas themselves are not there for Brahman. So the attributes of those Indriyas or the properties of those Indriyas are also not there. So here, in the Shastric language, the first superimposition is of the dharmi. Dharmi is the very entity. That is, when in a superimposition, there is the rope, and the what is superimposed is the snake. So the rope is the dharmi, and snake is also a dharmi. Dharmi in the sense, the one which is the container, or the one which has the attributes of everything. So dharmi is the one which has dharmas. So first the dharmi adhyasa is there, and then dharma adhyasa takes place. So first the rope is there alone, but then when someone superimposes the snake, the dharmi, that is the snake adhyasa, happens. That is, without knowing that dharmi is rope, he thinks that dharmi is snake. And next, immediately what happens is the dharma of the rope, that is the properties of the rope, are not cognized, but then in its place, the properties of the snake are superimposed. So that way, dharmi adhyasa precedes the dharma adhyasa. So in the same way here also, in the sloka, the dharma adhyasa is being stated, that is the denial of the dharma adhyasa is stated first, and then the denial of the dharmi adhyasa is stated. The order is changed here, but then we have to understand it in the proper order. That is, first dharmi adhyasa is denied, and then the dharma adhyasa is denied. So sarvendriya gunabhasam, that is the properties of the indriyas. About Brahman is something which is devoid of all the attributes of the properties of the superimposed organs. Sarvani cha tani indriyani shrotradini buddhindriya karmendriyakhyani. So when it says sarvendriya, what it encompasses the entire range of organs, that is the jnanendriyas and the karmendriyas. Then antakarancha buddhimanasi neyopadhitvasya tulyatvat sarvendriya grahanena vishyante. So when only indriyas have been covered, it is only an upalakshana, that is only a representative of the manas and buddhi, which are regarded as antarindriyas, that is the inner organs. So when we say all the indriyas, it includes the inner organs also. That's why he specifies them in the Bhashya. Antakarancha buddhi manasi, that is antakarana is the inner organ, which consists of the buddhi and manas. Buddhi is the intellect and manas is the mind. Both have different functions. Even though they are called antakaranam together. In fact, two other things are also there, ahankara and chittam. They have not been stated here. They also form part of this antakaranam only. Neyopadhitvasya tulyatvat. Since they are all the upadhis of that Neya Brahma, manas and buddhi also have to be taken. Sarvendriya grahanena grihyante. Apicha antakarana upadhi dvarena iva shrotradinamapi upadhitvam itataha antakarana bahishkaranopadi bhutaihi sarvendriya gunaihi adhyavasaya sankalpa shravana vasanadibihi avabhasate iti sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vyaparaihi vyapritamiva tat neyam ityartaha dhyayativa lelayativa iti shrutehe. So here in this long sentence, what he is conveying is the organ stated to be the upadhis of Brahman by saying that Shrotradinapi upadhitvam. Antakarana upadhi dvarenaiva Shrotradinamapi upadhitvam. That is, the organs become the upadhis of Brahman only through the antakaranam, that is the inner organ becoming the upadhi. So first the inner organ has to be there, and then the outer organs, because the outer organs depend upon the inner organs for their functioning. The sense organs and the motor organs cannot function by themselves. They require the command from the mind of the jiva. Only then they can function. So that way, in a hierarchy, the inner organs are the subtle organs are the higher in the hierarchy, and the outer organs are the lower. Why these are called outer organs? The reason is that from outside we are able to see that the person possesses ears, eyes, nose, etc., etc., because it is available for our outside perception itself. Yeah, our sensual perception itself, it is available. But then, from the Shastra's point of view, these indriyas that are outside available, they are actually only the orifices. They are only the stations where the indriyas actually operate. The indriyas are actually atindriyas. They are all extremely subtle and they cannot be grasped by our senses. But then they have been accepted to be functioning from those orifices we are able to see through our senses. And then the indriyas themselves are so very subtle. The antakaranam is extremely subtle, which is the inner organ. And that is the inner organ is the one which commands the outer organs to perform their functions. And the information brought by the outer organs by contacting the outside world, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, and Gandha, the mind is the one, the antakaranam is the one which processes this. So that way, antakarana upadi dvare naiva shrotrādīnāme upaditvam ityatah antakarana bahishkarana upadi bhutaihi sarvendriya gunaihi adhyavasaya sankalpa shravana vachanadivihi. So he now specifies the functions of the organs, both outer organs and the inner organ. So inner organ, Bhagavad Pada has specified only two, that is the buddhi and manas. The function of the buddhi and manas are being stated in this sentence. Adhyavasaya, that is determining something, is the function of the intellect, buddhi. And then sankalpa is the resolve or the doubting faculty or the first function, that is the function of the manas. So when manas does a sankalpa of something, the intellect is the one which does the adhyavasaya, that is the determination. To say in simple terms, when an object is seen, it is the mind that gets the doubt as to whether this object is of this nature or of that nature. And the intellect is the one which ultimately decides or determines that it is of this nature only and not of the other nature. So that is the difference between the antakaranam and the manas and the buddhi. Then he gives the other, indicates the other functions of the other organs also. Shravana vachanadivihi. So Shravana is hearing, and hearing is the one organ, one function of the organ ear, that is the Shrotrendriyam, and that is the Shravanam is the Upalakshanam, that is the representative for the other four Jnanendriyams. And then Vachanam is speech. This is only one stated here, that is, this is the function of the speech, that is Vak Indriyam, and Vak is only one of the four other five Karmendriyas. So he is giving the function of the one organ, one Jnanendriyam and the other one Karmendriyam, and we have to supply the others. Then Avabhasate iti Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vyaparehi Vyapritamiva Tat Jnayam Ityartha. So this Brahman is appearing to be functioning through all these organs, and it is appearing to be possessed of all the properties of these organs. That's the idea. So when we see a person, he functions with all these organs, and he functions with he is endowed with the properties of these organs also. So in the same way, Brahman is also appearing to be possessed of these properties and the organs naturally. But then it is only an abhasam. The word avasam has got so many different meanings also. But here the word abhasam means it is an appearance. In other contexts, abhasa can mean a reflection, whereas here it is simply an appearance, which is not real. Abhasam. So Sarvendriya, that's why Bhagavad Pada gives the meaning. Sarvendriya Vyaparehi Vyapritam Iva Tat Jnayam Ityartha. Brahman appears as though it is endowed with all these organs and the properties or the functions of these organs. That's the idea. While it only appears to be having this, in reality, it does not have these things. So that is the idea conveyed here, implied here. Then for that, he gives the, he cites a mantra from the Ayativa, Lelayativa. So there also, we have got the particle Iva in both the words. So Bhagavad Pada has already used Vyapritam Iva Tat Jnayam Ityartha. For that, he is citing the Shruti, Dhyayati Iva, Lelayati Iva. That is, what these two words mean is, Dhyayati means Brahman, when the mind is quiet, and peaceful or placid or serene, it appears as though the Atman is peaceful, serene, placid, etc. And when the mind is distracted, it appears as though the Atman is distracted. So the property of the Atman, the properties of the mind are superimposed on the Atman. So dhyayati iva, lelayati iva. So as it appears as though Atman is the one which is peaceful or serene, when actually the mind is the one which is peaceful. Then at that time, and then when the mind is distracted, it appears as though the person himself, the entity himself is as though distracted. In truth, Atman is neither placid or peaceful, nor is it distracted. So that is to be noted by us, because these two are relative to each other. So Atman is transcendental. It is beyond these things. So naturally, it cannot be stated to be ever peaceful and things like that, because the moment we say peace, it is only in relation to the opposite of peace. Peace, that is the idea. Iti shrutehe. Kasmat punaha karanat na vyaprutameva iti grihyate ityataha. Then what is the other reason for which we have stated that for what other reason can you say that Brahman is not possessed of these attributes? For that, the reply is Sarvendriya Vivarjita. So what it is stated is there is why indeed Brahman cannot be taken to be something which is with these activities. For that, the reply is given here, Sarvendriya Vivarjita, Sarva Karana Rahitam Ityartaha. Since when it is devoid of all these organs, there is the question of its being possessed, it's possessing the properties of these organs. That is why the dharmi adhyasa, when it is denied, the dharma adhyasa also gets automatically denied. That's what is happening here exactly. So first the dharma adhyasa was denied, and then the cause of that dharma adhyasa denial is that the dharmi adhyasa is also not there. So that is the idea. When the organs themselves are not there, naturally the properties of those organs also are not there in Brahman. That is the concluding idea conveyed here. Ataha na karmyaparehi vyaparitam tat gneyam. Therefore, this gneyam Brahma is not endowed with these properties or the activities of the organs. So the organs, again, we have to understand that remember that it includes both the outer organs, and outer organs are of two types, that is the karmendriyam and jnanendriyam, and the inner organ, that is the antakarma. So karana vyaparehi vyaparitam tat na vyaparitam tat gneyam. Yastu ayam mantraha apanipado javano grihita pashyatyachakshuhu sa shrunotyakarnaha ityadihi saha sarvendriya upadi gunanugunya bhajana shaktimate tat gneyam ityevam pradashanarthaha natu sakshadeva javanadi kriyavatva pradashanarthaha. So now he is citing a very important mantra from the Shveta Upanishad and giving the purport of it. The mantra is that apanipado javano grihita pashyat yachakshuhu sa shrunotyakarnaha. That is apanipada. That is Brahman does not have hands and feet, but then it is the one which goes very fast. Javana is running very fast or moving very fast. Grahita is something which grasps something. So the function of the leg is to walk or go, run, and the function of the hand is to grasp something. So apanipadaha javano grihita. Brahman does not have legs and hands and feet, but then it runs very fast and it grasps something. Then pashyati achakshuhu. It does not have eyes at all, but then it sees. Then it does not have ears, but then it hears. So this mantra is there. So what is the meaning of that mantra? For that, he clarifies, Sa sarvendriya upadi gunanugunya bhajana shaktimate tate gneyam ityevam pradashanarthaha. This mantra is there to show us that Brahman is the one which appears to function through these organs, but then this mantra does not come to give the conclusive idea that Brahman possesses these organs. That is the idea. That is, Nato Sakshadeva Javanadi Kriyavatva Pradashnataha. So when a man runs, or when a man grasps, or when a man hears or sees, the whole mechanism has to be remembered here. These things happen because of the mind giving the command. And then for the mind giving to give the command, there should be the power to the mind to give the command. And what is the power? The power is of the Sakshi. That is the Brahman. Brahman, which is inside every body, as the consciousness. And because of the consciousness, because of the proximity of the mind to the consciousness, it is endowed with, the mind becomes endowed with that power. And through that power, mind commands the organs. So when these things are seen to be happening in a person, what is actually happening is Brahman is not doing all these things, and Brahman is actually only something which is appearing to take upon itself the activities of the mind and the organs and all that, as though it is taking upon itself. So that is the idea. Because in the Siddhanta, in the Vedanta, the Sakshi is something which is passive. It does not do any action. It is not an active participant in this whole activity. It is only a passive participant. So it appears as though the person is doing it, as he explained the two words, dhyayati va ledayati va, but then actually it is only the organs that are doing this. So, yastu ayam mantraha apanipado javano grahita pashyatyachakshuhu sasrunotyarkarnaha ityadihi saha sarvedriya upadi gunanugunya bhaktimat. So this Brahman is endowed with the power to activate the organs. So Bhajan Shaktimate, as though it is itself doing this. So that is the idea. Tat Gneyam Ityevam Pradashnartaha Natu Sakshadeva Javanadi Kriyavatvam Pradashnartaha. So this mantra does not teach us that Brahman it's doing these things actually by itself. No, that is not the idea. So he is giving the mantra Andho Manim Avindate from the Taitiri Aranyaka Ityadi mantra Arthavate Sasya Mantrasya Artaha. So this mantra, what it means is Andaha. Andaha means a person who is blind, he can't see. But then he gets a jewel. Money is a jewel. So if the Andha who cannot see anything, if he can't definitely see a jewel, that is the brightness or the splendor of the jewel cannot be seen by him. But then the statement says that he gets it or he sees it. So that what it means is it is only an Arthavada mantra. It does not have a literal sense. That's what is the simile between this Andho Mani Manvidite and the Sarvendriya Guna Bhasam and all that. So it's only an Arthavada. It is only a stuti, but it's not real. So that's the idea here also. That is when it says, when the Upanishad says that Apanipado Javano Grihita, it doesn't mean that the handless or the legless Brahman is running fast or taking something. It only means that it is only the power that enables these things to happen. That's all. Ityadi mantra arthavate tasya mantrasya artaha. Yasmat sarva karna vivarjitam karna varjitam neyam tasmat asaktam sarva sanklesha varjitam. So now he is coming to the second line of the sloka. Since Brahman is devoid of the organs and the functions or the properties of those organs, now it is asaktam. That is, it is completely detached, because if any attachment has to happen, it has to happen only through the medium of the mind and the organs. So when a person gets attached to something in the world, it is first he gets the taste of the things in the world through his organs. And of course, mind plays a very vital role there. And then he becomes, he thinks that it is good and it is nice and he wants it and he procures it and he becomes extremely possessive of it. So all these things happen only because of the contact he is able to make with the outside world through the medium of the mind and sense organs and motor organs. But then, since Brahman does not have any of these things at all, it is asaktam. It is completely detached from the world. Yasmat sarvakarna varjitam brahma neyam tasmat asaktam sarva samshlesha varjitam. Samshlesha is attachment. So first, physical contact has to happen, and then that leads to the mental contact with it, and then the brooding about it, and then ultimately so very attached to an object. Yadyapi evam tatapi sarvabhricha eva. Even though Brahman is not attached to anything in the world, still Brahman is something which bears everything. Sarvabhrita, bearing, that is something which is taking the load of everything. Sada sadaspadam he sarvam sarvatra sadbuddhya nugamat. So now he gives the reason why this Brahman is said to be bearing everything. For that, he says, Sadaspadam hi sarvam sarvatra sadbuddhyanukamat. Everything in the creation is having its root or bearing in the Brahman, which is Sat. So Sat is existence, and the existence of the pot, cloth, etc. in the world is actually the representing of the existence that is Brahman. So, in other words, when we say pot is, the easiness is from the derived from the Brahman, which is the underlying substratum, and the pot is the one which is the name and form which has been superimposed on Brahman. So this aspect has been so very nicely explained by Bhagavad Gita in the 2.16 shloka. Nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate satah. There, the word Sat is there. So for that, he delves very deep into the nature of Sat and the objects which are superimposed on Sat. So Sadaspadam he sarvam sarvatra sadbuddhi anugamat. Because first the sentence has to be broken like this. Sadaspadam hi sarvam. Then the reasoning for that is sarvatra sadbuddhi anugamat is the reasoning for that. So everything in creation, whatever we contact or whatever we perceive, is having Sat Brahman for its substratum. And why do you say so? When the question arises, the reason or the reply given is sarvatra sadbuddhi anugamat. Where in every object we get the idea or the perception, it is the pot is, the cloth is, the table is, the chair is. That is the experience we have. That is the experience we everyone nobody can deny that experience at all. So that easiness is the one which is derived from Brahman. This Bhagavad Gita uses this argument in some other context to deny that the world world is based, or world gets its basis on something which is shunya. There he argues that if the world were to be superimposed on some shunya, then we would not be able to get the idea that everything is. But then, since we should be getting the idea that everything is not, nothing is there. That is, the pot is not there, the cloth is not there. That should be the experience we would be getting. But since we are getting the experience that it is everywhere, definitely all these things are based on that Brahman which is existing, or Brahman which is Sat. Nahi Mrigatishnikadayo, he is giving that same reason here. Nahi Mrigatishnikadayo api niraspadaha bhavanti. He says, even the marriage water and Adipadena, Rajusarpa, Shukridajta, everywhere, wherever there is a superimposition, here also there has to be some basis on which the superimposition happens. Without that basis, not even a superimposition can happen. That's the idea. Very, very strong statement he makes. And through this, he conveys that the whole world is a superimposition, just like mirage water or a rope snake. But then, even there has to be some basis on which the superimposition can take place. So, without a substratum, no superimposition can take place. That is the rule here given. Dahi mrigatishnikadayaha api niraspadaha bhavanti. Ataha sarvabhrite sarvam vivarti iti. Therefore, Brahman is stated to be sarvabhrit. That is, it bears everything. It carries the load of everything. Something like keeping so many things on a table, and the table is the one which bears all these things. So, in the same way, the whole of the creation is borne by Brahman. That syadidamcha anyate gneyasya sattva adhigamam dvaram nirgunam sattvarajasam sattvarajastamamsi gunaha tai varjitam tate gneyam. Then he says that there are some more attributes given here through which we can know Brahman. That is, since Brahman cannot be shown, Bhagavad Gita has said that in some other place, Like, for example, when someone asks, what is a cow? A person can hold the horns of a cow and show him this is the cow. But then such a thing cannot be done with Brahman, because Brahman does not have anything like horns or tail or hands or feet or whatever. So these things are not there for Brahman. So naturally, for with regard to Brahman, it cannot be shown to be shown in the way a cow can be shown by holding its horns. So here he says, Syat idam cha anyat gneyasya sattva adhigama dwaram. Sattva is to know that Brahman exists, that is sattva. Adhigama is that knowing, and dwara is the means or way. So there are some more ways through which we can know Brahman. Nirgunam, so the word used in this sloka is Nirgunam. Further, the meaning is Sattva Rajas Tamamsi Gunaha Tai Varjitam Tate Gneyam. So Brahman is free from Sattva Rajas and Tamo Gunas. And these Gunas can be there only with the things that are created. Since Brahman is not created from Prakriti, and these Gunas belong to Prakriti, Brahman does not have any of these Gunas at all. Tathapi Bhoktrucha. Even though Brahman does not have these gunas, it is guna bhoktru. That is one more epithet given to Brahman in the shloka. Guna bhoktru. That means? Guna bhoktrucha gunanam sattva-rajas tamasam shabdadi dvarena sukha dukkha mohakara parinatanam bhoktru cha upadabdru cha tat gneyam ityartha. So even though Brahman does not have these gunas, still it is stated to be the one which is experiencing these gunas. How does that happen? Guna bhoktrucha gunanam sattva-rajas tamasam shabdadi dvarena sukha dukkha mohakara parinatanam bhoktrucha. So upalabdrucha, that is Brahman, even though it does not have any organs, no mind, no gunas also, yet Brahman is the one which is the one which has the bhoga, or which is the bhoktru and the upalabdru. That is, it is the one which contacts everything, or which knows everything, and which is the one which also experiences everything. And all these things happen only through the mechanism of the body-mind complex. And since Brahman, even though it doesn't have the body-mind complex, there has to be some conscious entity. That is the idea driven through all these slokas. Without the conscious entity, the body-mind complex which are inert, they can't do anything. So, but then we see only the activity of the body-mind complex and the body-mind complex themselves, and we have to infer the Brahman which is behind all these things. So that is the way in which the Upanishads and the Vedas teach Brahman. So since Brahman does not have any organs or any attribute by itself, therefore it cannot be shown to be, it can be very easily taken to be non-existent. A very difficult task is there for the Upanishad or this Gita to perform. It has to first convince us that this Brahman exists. And all these things, all these shlokas are there only to tell us that through reasonings and yukti, upayas and all that, to convince us that Brahman exists. So that's what exactly he's saying here. Tathapi gunam bhoktrucha gunanam sattva tamsam shabdadi dvarena sukha dukkha mohakara parinatanam bhoktrucha upalabdrucha tat gneyam ityartha. So this is how the Adhyaropa Apavada has been done. And the purpose of this Adhyaropa Apavada also has been stated by Bhagavad. And the two shlokas which are very, very seminal to this Vedantic understanding, we have seen. So we shall end this session here. Narayana Parogat Syantastume Loka Saptat Vipacha Medini Shastram Shariram Himamsa Devastu Parameshwaraha Acharya Shankaracharyaha Santume Janma Janmani Vidya Vinay Sampannam Vedaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvagnam Vidushekaram Bharati.